business, biceps, a little BS. Fitness mixed with finance, now you're really gonna see us as we're learning, growing. All your minds we're blowing, earning while we're burning. Shirts are tight, so games are showing. Resolve, evolve, absolve, it's time to make a move. Better check yourself, cause if you're doubting, no, we got the proof. Voices speaking loud, cause we're proud about what we can do. Tickling your ears with CPE, rooted in the truth.
In the wildwood of accounting, we all know garbage data in means garbage data out. The same thing applies to your body. As a C-suite guy who obviously lifts, I want to be just as sharp in the boardroom as I am in the weight room. I don't have time for guesswork supplements or flashy nonsense, and that's why I use Redcon One. Clean ingredients, real formulas, stuff that actually works when you're training at 5 a.m. at the gym or burning midnight oil in your month-end grind. So whether you're an accounting bro, finance bro, or business leader in an NGO, if you want more energy, better recovery, and fewer excuses, this is your sign. Head to redcon1.com and use promo code BIZBUYSANDBS for 20% off. Don't just audit your numbers, audit your nutrition by leaning into America's favorite supplements at Redcon One. Yeah.
So right, the words are just sounds. They don't have any meaning whatsoever.
So I was in a speech class and in high school. Of course, we were all seniors, and so we all had to take an English, and speech was one of those. It's like everybody kind of saved it for the senior year because the speech teacher her name was Miss Brewer. She was awesome. She was totally aloof. It was probably before like all those like brain diseases became like medical. Because she was just very aloof, but she was so joyful in her aloofness. And but anyway, best teacher on the planet. And but we had to do 4 styles of speeches, and one of the speeches, and one was like you had to, it was delivering a serious address, and then one was a little bit more comedic, more relaxed, but one of them was a demonstration. And so people would normally, they'd get like recipes, they'd have like bananas, they'd like, you know, do like banana bread. And of course you couldn't cook it, but you know, here's how you make it. They just go through a recipe because that's easier. Like, oh, here you throw in the chocolate chips and it makes the dough. And so I was like, no, we're not doing that. So I went out to Walmart and bought 2 like just shrubs, okay? And these shrubs, put them on the table.
Like landscaping shrubs.
Like landscaping shrubs, like just bushy shrubs, right? And we took this podium, put it over the side, and as I'm telling them the history of what's the stuff, hedge. What are those things called? Hedge clippers? Yeah, the history of the hedge.
Yeah, the trimmers.
Yeah. So I bring this thing into school. I've got these giant shrubs. They're on, and as I'm putting on my dad's. So my dad used to work for the phone company. He used to work on cars and what have you. And so he had these overalls that said Schlumberger on the back, right? And so this blue overalls. So as I'm pulling on these blue overalls and I'm getting into my dad's overalls, I'm like putting on my safety glasses. I had a hard hat, put on a hard hat, and so here I'm starting to talk to the class, like, you know, and these hedge clippers, they date way back to the 19 blah blah whatever it was. And so of course, as like the tension is starting to rise, like what is he gonna do? And
where is he going with this?
This is, by the way, this is before gas-powered stuff. So this is all plugged in, which is weird. Why would you ever make hedge clippers that actually plug into something? You know, it's like, you have like 2 sharp razor blades and there's an electrical cord. Yeah. What could happen?
What could go wrong?
It's like those plug-in lawnmowers. Like trying to get the line out of the way. So here I am, and I crank up this hedge clipper. It's just like, you know, here's Johnny. So here I am. It's like shaping these plants, and of course my friends. Now understand, there's 2 plants, and I'm shaping them, and I'm trying to tell them like how Walt Disney does it, and I can make characters out of these, and this, that, and the other. And by the end of this carving session, there's shit everywhere. Okay, there are branches, there's leaves, like people are like pulling stuff out of their hair, and so like it went exactly the way I wanted it to go. But at the end, I'm looking at like 2 just like round shrubs, and so finally one kid in the back, he goes, "Hey Natty, what did you make?" And I'm looking at it going, are they boobs? So Miss Brewer's like, okay, Mr. Natty, thank you so much. You just get
Next.
I was like, I don't know. I mean, come on. I was a senior in high school, but it was so funny. So when you go back, let's just say that day I did not have a teleprompter.
No teleprompter. Maybe one was needed. You just say the sounds. Just stick to the sounds, Natty.
Which is why my wife tells me I'll never be good in politics.
Oh, goodness. Me neither. That is for sure. Man,
Sean
talk about pronouncing. Yeah.
It
should be.
You're very, very popular these days, especially because of that fantastic haircut and great woodworking behind you. Welcome to the show. This is Business Biceps and BS. Before we start, can we just go ahead and I know you work out. Shit, give it to me. Yeah, you're probably the
I
biggest
got to back up. Yeah,
this is
something
great.
like that. There you go.
Hey, listen, I'm really glad that you joined us today. I know it was a real short notice for the 7 listeners out there. Sean, I called him up. We had a person had to change schedule at the last minute. So I just kind of put out a note saying, hey, if anybody wants to jump on this real quick. And Sean's like, I'll do it. He's like, well, where are you? He's like, I'm in California. So it's actually like, what, 5 o'clock your time?
Yeah. I'm in Phoenix. Yeah, and Phoenix doesn't change their times when the times shift.
What is it about Phoenix why do they think
they're like half the year on Mountain Time, and now they're on Pacific Time. So yeah, it's a good 5 a.m.
Wait, they're half the year. What do you mean half the year? They switch it when they want to switch it?
They don't like, what do you guys think about switching today?
Half the year they're on the right time.
They don't switch at all.
Got it.
Yeah. So half the year they're on the Mountain Time. I don't know. I haven't heard a reason for that.
Yeah, that's strange. But I'm glad that you are here with us today. I
appreciate the invite, man. This was really cool. When I saw it pop up, I was like, yeah, let's do this. And then the reality hit what time it was going to be, and I'm like, ooh. All right. Well, I already said, yeah, I'll figure out a way.
So we have a few things in common, and I think before we get into that, I want to definitely. Oh yeah. Yeah, you had a cursor on your face. Okay, so. Just to let you know, I'm speaking to you on this laptop here. There's a laptop over here that's actually capturing everything that we're looking at, actually capturing you. And so that's the one that's getting pulled into the HDMI into the back board. And so he's like, hey, there's a cursor on his face. It's like, oh, we gotta take that off. So I apologize for having it right under your nose, man.
It's all good.
So
it's all good.
We need to tell the story of how we met. Because I think that's instrumental into why we're talking today and where we're going in the future. So I'm going to let you tell this story because I don't know your side. I know my side of it, and I'll just fill in the gaps. We could be like an old Jewish couple. It's like, yay, and they said this, and like, well, yeah, let me tell this story.
Perfect.
So, Sean Crevier, please tell us how did we meet?
We met like a good old fashioned email introduction, right? just classic. But Rebecca Olson. She's with the Maryland CPA Society, and past couple of years I've been doing work for the AICPA in conjunction with the MACPA in a youth apprenticeship program, a pilot youth apprenticeship program that we've been running, and that's how I met Rebecca. I've been out there in Baltimore. Well, I don't know how many times in the last couple of years, but they're a fantastic group, and the AICPA Faith that leads the charge on the apprenticeship stuff. She's amazing to work with, and one day randomly, was it like August or September?
Yeah.
We've only known each other for like 6 months, something like that.
It feels like forever.
Our courtship was very short for you to invite me onto a podcast. I feel like you're really moving this relationship along pretty quickly.
Well,
I appreciate it.
Jennifer Maddox here would say that I'm really into the word bromance.
Oh yeah.
Look, man,
perfect.
I'm about to turn 49. I don't have time to waste. If you're my bud, we're locked, baby.
Dude, I just hit 50 a couple months ago, so I feel you. No, I feel you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay.
Thank you. So she sent that intro, and I was like, wow, wait, like. This is actually the CFO at the Bananas. And I mean, I'm sure it's going to come out again, but I'm a baseball junkie, man. I ran away from home when I was 4. I lived on the Navy base, and my parents were like freaking out, apparently. And like hours later, they just found me down at the ball field, standing by the fence, watching the older kids play. So I am such a baseball junkie. What a terrible story, right? I know. What'd you run away from home for? Baseball. So when I saw the intro, I was like, this is really cool. I would love this is awesome. And then we met, and we found all the connections, the finance, personal finance, corporate finance, all those, and it just felt natural and on the same page right away. And we started building.
When we started, so when Rebecca, who by the way was just on the previous podcast, she's on I think episode 21, and she was actually talking about this, how she was introducing me to color accounting. So the way that she approached it with me was they said, hey, I have a person I want you to meet. He does what's called color accounting. And I was like, gosh, I know that. Why do I know that? So quickly looked it up. And
Which is everybody's reaction when they first hear about color accounting. It's like,
I know I've heard of that, so I looked into it and I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. I'd love to meet him. And so you and I got on the phone, and it was supposed to be like a 15-minute, hey, hi, my name's Tim. Hi, my name's Sean. But it was. I think that phone call lasted about 2 hours, to the tune of like.
It could have been our podcast.
We had to stop and actually schedule another meeting. It was like, okay, we have so much to talk about. What I really, and then of course you very quickly, I think that you and I thought, okay, we're simpatico. We have something extremely in common, which is the betterment of young men and women, teaching them to make better decisions. And with your background being in high school education, right? And then and we'll get into, I want to unpack that a little bit, because I think that leads to the bona fides that you have on this particular discussion, that little tiny plaque that's over your right shoulder, that Legacy Forge.
Wrong way.
We're going to unpack this today, big time. Yeah, that right there. But so we got to talking, and then you introduced me to the Wealth Fox group, Peter and Scott and all those guys, because for the listeners who haven't been watching all of the shows, Wealth Fox is the group that actually puts out color accounting, had invented the color accounting platform. And it's kind of, some people look at it as like, how can you invent an accounting platform? It's like, well, no, they did, and it's probably the best thing. Let's say it's not probably. It is the best way to teach accounting on this planet. And what I love about it is that it makes it so darn easy. I'm extremely visual. I get to touch things. I get to put stickers on it. It's like there's just so much energetic movement. It's like it forces me to learn this stuff, so much so that in my mind, even though I don't have a basis board in front of me, I know I'm looking down, but I can see where all of those accounts are, the cash right in the middle. I can see the butterfly. I can see where my for the listeners, assets on one side, liabilities, equity, right, and then that little tiny purple box right there, which is your P&L. But I can see it, and that is what I loved about it, was that because I'm a super visual person, there are so many people inside accounting and finance, and not just there, I would say just visual learners who stray away from the accounting topic because it's like you're always barked out numbers, or here's a case study, here's this, and you're like, you're reading things, you're trying to put this together, but sometimes it's really hard for people to take information and like kind of put it into where it needs to be in order to get the answer. A lot of kids struggle in math, right? Because they just can't, they have to draw things out. That's me. I have to draw things out. So when all of a sudden there's this platform where I can touch it, I can feel it, I can see orange and green cards, and I put it there, and I put it there, and it's like, I feel really good about myself after I'm done. It's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So after having that conversation, I think one of the first times you and I had our first fight,
our bromance fight.
Yeah, this is what makes us stronger, bro. We start coming up with ideas on how we're going to approach the National Women's Soccer League. And so you say, like, I got this. I'm in this. I'm going to make the first run at this. And you put a proposal together. And okay, you and I have no idea who each other are. And I roasted it. And roasted it in a sense, like, because I just like, oh, we don't have any time. We just got to move. But I probably was a little, looking back, I probably was a little over my skis in this one. Should have used better words to describe things. You know, I'm not the yelper, so I'm more of the guy that's just gonna put it on blast and be done with it. So I hurt your feelings. We made up. We're all friends now. But where we're going now is that we've now, this serendipitous moment that Rebecca provided for us has now turned into, and again, I keep poking that Legacy Forge tile over your shoulder. It has led to us starting a nonprofit called Legacy Forge. You can go to legacyforge.org. That'll be in the show notes. And this nonprofit is specific to personal finance education. And because you and I both teach on this, we both have a passion to get it out there for, again, young men and women, helping them make better decisions, specifically through financial decisions. I think it's really neat to see how fast this thing has kind of gotten legs. Like you said, we maybe met 5 months ago, 6 months ago, and we've started a nonprofit. And
here we are.
Like, hey, dude, you want to start a nonprofit? Okay, bro, let's start a nonprofit.
Yeah, sounds good. What was your name again?
Yeah,
let's do it.
So now we're in this this ship together, and we're moving forward, and it feels like the momentum is picking up, which is awesome, because I think you and I just have the same fever here that there is a class of individuals who are missing out on some very key information, and it's not because someone's just leaving them behind and they just don't want to they don't want to provide this information. Just a lot of times professionals just don't have the time. And so the only people that are actually mentoring these young leaders, these emerging leaders, these athletes, and I'm talking professional athletes too, the ones who are already out in adults, right? The professional athletes, the collegiate athletes, the NIL athletes. Oh my gosh, NIL has exploded home budgets, exploded. Like, what are the tax ramifications of your son or your daughter going out and getting $400,000 a year? Like, what is that going to do? Oh, great, good for you. But no, the tax man cometh, right? So what are all the problems that come with that? And then you look at the Olympians. There was a gentleman up in, I think, Vermont or Delaware, a billionaire up there for some capital company. And he said, I'm going to give $200,000 to every Olympian. I'm going to pay them. But there's a caveat there.
I heard about that.
It's awesome. And by the way, we are going to find this guy. But he's giving them $200,000, but he's not giving them $200,000. He's putting it in. He's making them do investments, so that they have $200,000 for the future. It's not just a payout.
I didn't know that came with the caveat of.
And that's why it's like I've already actually hit him up. I'm trolling him on LinkedIn big time. But
perfect.
Hopefully he's going to be like, yeah, I would love these Olympians to go through your course so that they can understand how to do this. And by the way, that's not taking anything away from him. He's a private equity guy. He doesn't have time to teach people this stuff. We do, which is the whole point. So the idea is that as we start developing these relationships with these athletes who are cool, right? Kids look up to athletic conquest, and they just think that's really neat, right? It's like the gladiators of yore. And they look at them and they say, what they do is really neat. I want to be like them. Well, wouldn't it be interesting if they turned around to the kids and the younger people and said, hey, in order to be like me, you certainly have to eat your Wheaties. You have to work out every day. You have the dedication, this, that, and the other. But wouldn't it be great if there was another feather in the cap that said, oh, you also need to understand your finances. That is like the roundness that we need out of the athletic community, because kids are watching, they're listening. They are their mentors, they are their influencers. And so we set out with Legacy Forged to make accounting sexy. In fact, we don't even use the word accounting, right? It's like don't use the word accounting.
No, you see, we skirt around it, but it is in the middle of everything.
And where we're going is that once it's sexy, once people look at it and go, hey, it's cool to know finance and accounting, then now you can take it and you go, okay, well, now we can put it out into the communities. And that is where, Sean, you come in, because when you're starting to talk about community education, you're talking about sophomores, juniors, seniors in high school. Certainly there might be some middle school angles here, but right now we're focusing on the high school side, just because we want to give them the skills to kind of, if they want to move into a college arena, they have the skills to do that, or if they want to go another path, they have the skills to do that too. But specifically, one of the programs that came out of this Legacy Forge, it's called the Hustle Academy, right? And
Hustle Academy. I wanted a Hustle Academy plaque, but I got nothing for now.
But the reason why Hustle Academy came around is because you and I were talking about, we're teaching these athletes. We're learning as we go. We talk about the business of you. Here's everything about so inside the umbrella of business of you is finance of you, the business of you, and the future of you, right? So three very distinct things that all kind of flow back and forth over each other. But in the very beginning, it's finance of you, understanding your finances, your personal finances, right? And this is not like writing a check or do I have a bank account type stuff. This is like, how much money am I bringing in? Where am I actually spending this money? And do I really need to be spending that money that place? So now you understand the finance side. Then you move to the next module, which is the business of you. The business of you is what we found is a lot of these athletes, when they have extra money, they're not paying down debt. They're not going out and buying cars. They want to start businesses. And so we looked at it and said, wow, that's pretty cool. So there's an active income, there's active investment and passive investment. You can put it in the 401ks and things like that, or you can actually put it into a business and actually run a business. And so, so that's where the business of you came from. And then the last part being the future of you, how, with your personal and your business, how can you build that wealth so that you have a legacy that you can pass on to, whether it be your children, whether it be your friends, whether it be your community, what have you. What kind of legacy are you actually building? And so, but let's go back into the middle. That middle piece of the business, this is where the Hustle Academy popped out. Because I remember the butterfly. I remember it because we were talking about when you have your assets, again, for the viewers, when you have your assets on one side, you look at it as like, what is actually your asset? I'm asking you this question. When you think about the assets of a person's assets, what would qualify as person's assets?
I mean, I think you immediately go to, like, if you own a house, the biggies, you go to those first, typically, right? Mm-hmm. The house, the car, land, and then from there, you kind of go inside your house and those things, right? But it typically stops there. And again, it's, as you pointed out earlier, that's identifying what level, right? It's owning the knowing of things. And one of the things that I love most about using color accounting and the approach in the personal finance education that I've been delivering this way since 2019. I met the folks at Color Accounting in 2018. But what I love the most is it has allowed me to transform my financial literacy programs from creating Jeopardy champions, right? People that can, what's the proper credit score range, right? A, B, C, D. Right. I mean, those are very important things to know. They're also very easy facts to look up if you're like, I can't remember the number range. But it allowed me to transform that education for my students from how much I can get them to know to what can I get them to do in their future selves, right? You talk about that future them, right? Yeah. And really what I want, I mean, having them know very important facts is good, but really I want behavior. I want to drive their behavior when they're 20, when they're 25, 30, and I want to help them hit 50 and not have to worry about going, what about like the rest of my life? Like, how am I I'm still paycheck to paycheck at 50 years old. That, they can answer all the correct questions in the world, but if they're still living paycheck to paycheck at 50, then the education I gave them, that's not successful to me. And color accounting, that framework, that framework allows them to own the conversation and own the decisions as opposed to owning answers, right? And I love it so much because the framework lends itself to that. Because as you said before, you can touch that board. Now I'm looking down and going right left. I'll tell you, to my accounting students and the teachers that I work with on implementation of color accounting in their curriculum, the number one feedback I hear is, I can't unsee it. Like they can no longer think of anything in terms of finance without that framework in their head. And that, if you want to get educational nerdy here, that framework, I mean, it's a concept map, and there's so much strong science behind concept maps and learning. And then when you put the concept map into a tangible, manipulable, whatever that word is,
I think
form, touchable. There, we'll go with that. So much easier. Tangible.
Are you reading
Also
off
better.
that? Are you reading off that teleprompter again?
I'm just making noises with what the teleprompter is telling me to say. Okay, I'm gonna come back to that because that ties in
Which one?
perfectly. But
Tentative or minimitable?
yes. Now I have no idea what the heck I was even going on.
You were saying when you have something that's actually tangible and able to be manipulated.
Manipulated. Yeah, you feel it, right? You feel the process and those stickers. The only thing I've told Foxes, the only thing that would make that better is if the stickers were scratch and sniff, because I'm not like if the cash sticker smelled like a fresh $100 bill. Are you kidding me? I mean,
what if you took it and you rubbed it on your eye? Could you still get conjunctivitis?
Probably. Yeah. Yeah, that's possible.
What I love about this is that, okay, so we're talking about the assets, the liabilities, the equity. Again, I'm going to keep going. Assets, liabilities, equity, right? Inside the assets, and this was something that you and I were kind of joking with, like, well, what else could be an asset for these athletes? Because we went in this specifically looking at the professional athlete and saying, what is the makeup of this individual? Is the male versus female? We had two groups. One of them, so we had 7 banana ball players, a couple coaches, professional athletes. People don't think they're professional athletes. They are professional athletes. In fact, they make more money than a lot of the minor league baseball players out there. So minor league baseball players, if you know how to do a backflip or ice skate or do anything kind of quirky, come on over to banana ball. But now they're making good money. And so the female soccer players that we had, all professional soccer players, we had 2 groups. We had the male and the female, and then so we're like, okay, well, now that we have both demographics, and we say, okay, what's important to the male athlete? What's important to the female athlete? And then, holistically, what's important to the professional athlete, right? And that's kind of where we were going. I remember when we were trying to talk about this, like, how do we make this, it's like a male versus female thing, or it's like, it actually has nothing to do with the male versus female thing. It's more of like, what are they thinking about? And so when we started really digging into it, one of the things that we found is that all of them were interested in some kind of business after they were done doing what they're doing, right? And I know that we don't talk about the day that they hang up their cleats, because athletes never, ever want to be reminded that there's a day coming where God just says, hey, you need to put it down, man. And so...
especially if you're a Green Bay Packers quarterback, sometimes you struggle with that decision.
Hold on. Peter gave me a bingo card. He said Green Bay Packers. Yep, that's it.
He gave you a bingo card. I wanted to make sure that one got ticked off before we got too deep into it. Oh man, I am a cheesehead at heart.
So what we found, though, is that we went in with preconceived notions thinking that, hey, this is where we think they're going to end up. And actually, some things were confirmed, but some things were blown away. One, we thought that the guys, just being guys, like, they probably have a very cavalier attitude towards cash. And what we found is that, for the most part, they're like, yeah, we have it. But a lot of them were scared to touch the money that they'd saved because they didn't know how to use it yet, which is really interesting to me, because now these guys are making enough money to where all their bills are paid. And now I'm getting questions at the office that says, hey, Natty, what do I do with this? Like, well, I'll tell you what, man, let me put you in contact with somebody who knows this stuff, because I would tell you, like, from a dad perspective of what I would do if you were my son, but I'm not a professional in this. As a CPA, yes. Fraud examiner, sure. But financial advisor, that's not my bailiwick, and I would hate to steer you incorrectly. And honestly, as a professional, I shouldn't be steering you. And so let me just give you the education and point you to the resources that you need in order to get your goals aligned with a professional who knows how to do this stuff, right? And so from the male side, there was that piece. From the female side, what we found is that there's a stability issue. They want to make money so that and find out how can they make their lives a little bit more stable. Whereas the guys, again, a little bit more cavalier attitude. Now, to be fair, the guys over here are making a lot more money than the girls over here. And now that's just a female sports issue that needs to be tackled at some point in the future. I'm not sure how we're going to work this out, whether the sponsors can start dumping more money into the sport. A lot more people are watching women's sports now. So maybe the sponsorships are going to start coming, which means the contracts will start rising, hopefully.
The visibility certainly helps.
Yeah. And so as you know, the women's soccer, as women's hockey wins that gold medal, I mean, as the women's basketball starts really coalescing, you're starting to see more people watch women's sports, which means the sponsorships are going to have to come, especially if the men's sports keep doing really, really dumb things, and they're like, hey, that's not our brand anymore. We want to go over here. So women, it's coming. I know, be patient. But what we found is that because the contracts are so much smaller on the female athlete side, now obviously we're talking about soccer versus banana ball, but they had a very different take when it came to finances, which is, hey, we're kind of living paycheck to paycheck here. And like I have a little bit of money saved up, but I don't really want to use it. But if I do want to use it, I want to make a business too. So now we're starting to see across the spectrum of all these athletes, after they're done playing, because even though we never mentioned it, what are you going to do after? We say, you're in your competitive arena right now. You're going to move to another competitive arena, which could be
that's so much better than hang up your cleats, right?
Yeah. But the idea is that you have all this competitive spirit, and you're gonna, that person across the boardroom, you're gonna beat them too, because you have it inside you. You're very competitive. Don't lose those competitive juices. Take them into the business world, and then crush your opponents, right? Grab your teammates and go conquer the day. But what we found is that a lot of them want to start businesses. And so, like, we started looking at this going, well, shoot, if that's the case, then business of you isn't where we stop. We have to go to the next level, which is, now we've given you this education. Do you want to learn how to start a business? So we create, and the reason why we called it this, we call it the Hustle Academy. And I absolutely love the name, but it all came because that one conversation you had when we were talking about what's an asset for the athletes, and you said, what about your side hustle? And athletes, when we did this in the banana ball players, there was an audible like pause in the room, because a lot of the guys, it's almost like they stopped what they were doing and they looked up and they said, what is my side hustle? And they go, yeah, that's a business. And you basically, in one fell swoop, you took 170 people who were kind of engaged, and all of a sudden they're like, they were all right there, because this is the next step. And they all knew it. Doesn't matter how many more years you have in front of you for banana ball, they knew that that's important to me. So the side hustle became our program called the Hustle Academy, which, telling all our 400 listeners that's the program, Sean, that you're going to be leading for Legacy Forge. And so so I really wanted to kind of go back into, like, let's just pretend this is a marketing video, and people are like, hey, Sean, why did Natty pick you to be the leader of this program? I want you to kind of give our listeners a taste of who you are, what position you're in now, what boards you sat on, because that's really important in the maturation of not only your career, but why you're like the Pied Piper and all these people are going to be coming around you. But I think it's really important for people to know who you are, because you're going to be one of the most pivotal people. Pivotal people.
Just pick a word that's easier and go with it.
And you're going to be probably one of the most pivotal people going forward. Delusions of grandeur. I think within 2 years, everybody's going to know your name, because of the impact.
We got to decide on a pronunciation then.
Crevier.
We got to pick one and land on it. My son wants Crevier. The American Creviers want Crevier. The Canadians are on my son's side. We'll figure something out. We got 2 years, right?
I like Crevier. It sounds good when you put that cheese whiz on the cracker when you're eating them. You're like, man, my name's Crevier.
Yeah, that's about as fancy as this Crevier gets.
Who is Sean Crevier? And what are your bona fides? Because I want everybody to know why you are going to be in charge of this Hustle Academy.
Oh man, I'm pumped about it. So who am I? I ask that question all the time. I have such imposter syndrome at sometimes. I'm like, I still feel like a 15-year-old kid that just does stupid things. But growing up, the 15-year-old kid, I just wanted to be a business person, right? My dad was in business. He was in the Navy for 23-24 years. So I spent a little bit of time on Navy bases growing up. But he, even in the Navy, he did a lot of work in the commissaries and on the business side of things. And then his transition, and this is something we've talked about before, the military, the service people who make the transition out of the military and into civilian life. I just want to go into business. I was going to say, I was going to help you figure out. You said you felt like a 14-year-old boy. Continue. Yeah, so that, I mean, that teenage boy, like I just kind of wanted to be my dad. I almost went to the Naval Academy. I was like, I mean, almost schmalmost, but that was the path that I was on. And I went, my undergrad degree is in business. I worked in business. I went to Purdue University, boiler up, let's go NCAA tournament. Is that on the bingo card? Is that, I don't know. Check it off. The bingo card just loaded with sports references, most likely sports and food, really. So my undergrad's in business, and I went, got a job. You go to the Big Ten in the Midwest, and you're from the Chicago area. You come back, you get a job downtown Chicago, living in the city, and like that's kind of what you do. And so I did that, and I really quickly realized that I missed working with kids. My summer jobs, summer job, high school, and several college summers. I was a camp counselor at the local park district, and then director of camps and stuff. I never thought I would miss working with kids. I never even realized how much I enjoyed working with kids. I always thought that I loved that summer camp job because I was outside and a bunch of my buddies worked with me. And so I thought that was why I had so much fun. And I'm sure it contributed to it. But I miss working with kids. So it was a pretty easy decision. Started taking night classes, and got my education degree, got my master's in secondary education, and got a teaching certificate, and dove into the classroom. I spent 23 years in a really traditional high school classroom, 9 through 12, in a northern suburb of Chicago, teaching business, and primarily the money stuff of business, right? As a high school business teacher, you just you're teaching whatever lands on your plate. You might have 4, 5 preps in a week, right?
Yeah.
But I just gravitated toward the money side of it, and it just went from there. The first several years of teaching, you can only teach the way you know, and when you get into it, what teacher prep programs they have a lot to pack in, and so it's very theoretical, and then you get into the practice of it, and you do your student teaching, but it's still just chaos, right? It's a blur. So you really do your learning, as with pretty much all professions. You do your learning in the first several years of actually doing it, and so 10 years in, 9 years in. I ran across a group. You just kind of fall into things. I think timing is crazy and kind of everything, but ran across a group out of Kansas State University who had a new accounting curriculum. And at that point, I'd been teaching accounting for about 9 years, and I loved it. It was, I was teaching it the old way, which is still
Even
mostly the new way,
monk's
right?
outfit with the hood and
yeah, I looked like Luca Pacioli every day when I walked into that classroom, baby. With my stone tablet, and I enjoyed it because it made sense to me. And then in '09, I ran across this group and was invited to join them, and it exploded my mind. Dr. Dan Dinas, he ran the program. He's a retired accounting department chair out of Kansas State, but he was really my first true professional mentor that taught me so much about not only accounting, but about teaching accounting. So many professors are, I'm not throwing shade on professors. So many professors are really research focused and not so much heavy on the pedagogical side of things. And boy, Dan just opened my eyes to all sorts of things. And one of them is the holistic, integrated storytelling approach to accounting, right? And so I fell in love with it right away. They asked me to join their team, their development and training team. And we started sharing it around the country. We spent every summer from 2010 all the way up to COVID. Took a little break during COVID, came back for another year, and then and at that point, the program was owned. So in 2017, the AICPA found out about our program.
Great.
They kind of fell in love with it to the point where they acquired it. They purchased everything, the curriculum,
Wow.
all the things, and so then comes 2018, which is when I was introduced to the folks at WealthVox, which at the time was not even called WealthVox. WealthVox wasn't a thing. The company was called Color Accounting. That was the name of the company. And then they went through some structural changes during COVID, and kind of used that time to, everybody's sitting around in COVID going, okay, how can I use this time productively now that I can't do anything? What can I do, right? And they used that time to restructure and rebrand, and the color counting part became the product as opposed to the company name, which makes a ton of sense.
A lot of sense.
But when I was introduced to color counting and learned about what it was and how it worked, I was like, holy moly, these people, they have the same exact brains as Dr. Dinas and our K-State curriculum. And it was just the same exact approach. But they've also got this concept map that is baller and is going to allow me to teach that holistic, integrated approach from such a stronger perspective because we can tangible everything, right?
Yeah.
And understand it and see it and feel it and manipulable it and all the things you can do. And it's only missing scratch and sniff stickers. Peter, when you watch this, I'm just gonna float it out there one more time. I don't know what the extra costs are, but scratch and sniff stickers, just sleep on it, buddy. In that, right? So that brings me up to when I left the classroom in 2023. I retired from the classroom a little bit early. But joining that group was really my first foray into working professionally with teachers, for teachers, right? I mean, my colleagues were always teachers, but helping teachers and helping them make their classroom better. We don't often, especially business teachers, there's so few of us in a building. Oftentimes there's only one business teacher in a high school building, as opposed to like you walk around with jealousy of the math department and the science department, and because they're all huddled, brainstorming, coming up with cool ideas together, and then you're like the lonely kid in the corner nobody wants to sit with, and you're like, whoa, how can I do this better?
That hierarchy remains in high school when you're teachers too? There's teachers?
It is no less, maybe even more, man.
It's
but
awful.
they get to group together. So when I had the opportunity when I realized that this opportunity to work with teachers in business teachers, especially in different arenas, I was like, yeah, heck yeah. And early on was when Twitter was kind of blowing up a little bit. My brother, he's a big techie nerd, and he got on me. He's like, how are you not on Twitter yet? I said, I'm not interested in what Shaq had for breakfast. Like that, I don't know. He's like, no, there's so much more to Twitter than this. I'm like, come on, prove it. And he did. And I jumped on, and I ran into this amazing lady in Nebraska. Her name is Mickey Mueller. She and I realized that there was not a lot of business teacher presence on Twitter, but there was like math teachers had a hashtag and science teachers had a hashtag, and everybody got a hashtag except for the losers sitting in the corner by themselves. So Mickey and I are like, forget this. We are not going to be non-hashtag kids. And so we created BizEdu hashtag for Twitter. And with that, we also started a monthly Twitter chat. Cool. And we ran that for years. But having that opportunity to help the teachers, form a network when it doesn't naturally form in the building was really cool. And I started getting really involved in ACTE, Association for Career and Technical Education, which is what business education falls under. the umbrella, career and technical education. Every time I say CTE, people go right to brain trauma. I'm like, oh, that is not, it's the opposite of brain trauma. It's not the best branding connection, but
ACTE, right?
ACT, the Association of Brain Trauma. No, CT, career and technical ed. So I started getting really involved in that. I found, because not only does it encompass business education, but it encompasses all career and tech ed, agricultural, health sciences, technology, all the autos, wood, all the things, family consumer sciences, right? And one of the things I really enjoyed about, and still do, about being in that organization is those different content teachers, they think differently, right? We all kind of think differently. And the techniques and the approaches, like when I go to the national conference, I only go to maybe 2 or 3 sessions on business education. And then I'm going to the autos teacher and seeing what they're cooking up. I'm going to the nursing teacher and seeing what they're cooking up, because the way they deliver material is so unique and so creative and so often cross applicable into our content. And in my love for ACT, you have an opportunity, hey, does anybody wanna, I was like, yeah. I'm like, I don't really totally know what a bylaws committee is, but you need help, I'll learn about it. Sure, I'll be one of your representatives. And then, 2 years later, I'm the chair of the bylaws committee. And then 2 years after that, I ended up on the board of directors for my 3-year term. It's a 3-year term. And with that role, it's a dual role on the board. You also serve as the president of the content division.
Oh, cool.
Within CTE. So I was the president of the business education division and served on the board. I just rolled off of that in July. But you just learn so much about all the things going on in career and technical education. And you had said it very nicely earlier, getting these kids ready for after high school, whether it be going for more education or going right out into the workforce. Maybe it's a more traditional workforce, or maybe it's their hustle, right? Maybe their side hustle turns into their front hustle. But getting them ready for that next stage, I've always had a problem. And I taught in a district that was very college focused, right? Like you go to high school, and then the next thing you do, you're going to college.
Yep.
And I know you gotta serve the community that you're teaching in, but that never sat real well with me. I mean, I love school. I'm kind of like, I'm good at school, I think. Yeah. So the letters tell me, and I enjoy it. But I have some really, really dear friends that are crazy smart and just terrible at school. Mm-hmm. Like it really did them a disservice, that push for everybody to go to college, because they spent so many years trying to figure out, oh, it's okay if I don't go to college. Like, yeah, I can be a badass without going to college. I can have a killer career without, and I'm not trying to dissuade people from college, but we need, we're doing a much better job of it as a country now than I think we were 10, 15 years ago. But that path for careers post high school that do not involve college, so many kids fall through the gap on that. And I love that it is clear that gap is closing, and there's a lot of adults doing a lot of good work to close that gap.
So you have 24 years of in-classroom experience. Mm-hmm. You have however many with these associations. You were also the head of this ACTE group for a little while, right? And so now you have moved
the business division, not the entire thing. There it goes again.
Yeah, there it goes. So now though you're in the for-profit, if you will, education market. Is that right? Mm-hmm. And you're out there teaching who and teaching what?
Yeah, so I do a lot of curriculum development, most of it in the business education, finance education sector, mm-hmm. but not always. I love working with elementary school teachers. They like some of the challenges they bring are just really, really cool and unique. And then their ideas for solving them are like, I'm like, whoa, yeah, I would not have thought of that. But I am from the working with teachers side of things. That is what I do. I do a lot of work with state associations, and corporate groups as well, like
Right.
WealthVox. NAF, National Academy of Finance. They have two different accounting curriculums in their portfolio. One of them I wrote for them a couple years ago.
Wow.
And then, I work with an accounting learning group it's a startup out of Berkeley. They're doing some cool stuff. It's a gaming learning company, Market Games. They're doing really cool stuff. So I end up with the corporate piece much more now than when I was in the classroom. My side hustle of doing what I'm doing full time now started back in 2010, and that exposure traveling the country over the summers, working with groups of teachers. I mean, we worked with, I was in Alaska, I was in Florida, I was like the corners and everywhere in between. And it was really cool to see the national representation of business educators and the passion and the appreciation from them to have a group, right? To have people to connect with.
Well, with that, I'm curious because so as we start standing up Legacy Forge, obviously it's not going to be hanging on a wall with crappy 3M tape, but the
for sure. Let's hope.
Hopefully that's not the omen that this whole thing just is done. But as we start moving forward, one of the main programs is this Hustle Academy, and the question that people are going to have is, okay, so let me ask you, you have this curriculum. Now, it's going to be an amalgamation of this book that just came out that I'd written. It's called EDYM. It comes out. It's actually going to be on Amazon on April 7th. So anybody listening to this in the future, it's already out there. But this book is an entrepreneurial finance book, essentially. It actually is a cost accounting book, but I didn't want to put accounting anywhere near it because how that people go. Oh,
the branding
accounting
is terrible.
But we have the textbook. We have the platform with WealthVox's basis board. And I keep doing this because when you get this thing in the mail, you have to open it up. It's a pop-up book. So if people don't understand what this is, it is literally a pop-up book. You pull it out and you have to bend the spine so the spine goes, right? And you put
that noise that it makes, my daughter calls it satisfying. Oh my goodness.
You're having such a good time. This is great. So
we're just going to leave it like that.
It's like that. It'll eventually fall. But so we have the book, we have the curriculum, we have the trainers, we have leadership, we have the platform through which we're going to deliver this thing. And so this is where people come in and they go, what do you have to offer? Like, well, what do you want? We already have everything that we can do. We could do this in a 10-week course. We could do it a full semester. We could do it in 4 weeks. We could do it in a day if you need it. The question is, like, who is the audience we're trying to speak to here? If it's a bunch of younger, I hate using age as like a modifier here because it's not really an age thing. It's just where are you in your leadership
it's driving me crazy.
Whether you're a young emerging leader that's maybe someone who's coming through the high school ranks, or you're someone who's 35 years old and you just want to have a new career, right? You're tired of working for somebody else. You want to shift gears and go in a different direction, and you're looking at the ladder going, I know I'm smarter than that person. Why are they making all my money, right? So you hang out your own shingle. Or, like you mentioned earlier, you have the folks coming home from military service who are used to a particular hierarchy, a particular command structure, and then they get into the civilian world and they realize it is not like that at all. All of a sudden, that 18-year-old over there, the founder of this tech company, is your boss, and they are not very formal. Right, their pants are hanging down. They're drinking, their green drinks and their energy drinks, and they don't really care for authority, and so that can rub you the wrong way. So the question is, like, as you're moving from military into the civilian service, what are the challenges there? And do you even have to go work for somebody else? Can you just go ahead and start with a GI Bill or what have you? Can you move into your own thing, which we're seeing a lot of veterans doing. And so all that said is that there's all these different applications through which we can apply Hustle Academy. But the question is, like, when people say, well, how are you going to deliver this? We have a multitude of ways to deliver it. It's just a matter of how creative do you want to be, and where would you like this to happen? Do you want to have this in a local church hall? We can do it there. Okay. Do you want to have it at the local playing field? We can do it there. The point is that the education's not going to change, and there's two things. If you look on the Legacy Forge website, we did this on purpose. Is that especially if you look at the community impact statement. Community impact, specifically looking at the lower to middle income communities, because there's a true access issue there. You said you came from an area where college prep was the normal way. You went to high school, you're going to college, right? And if you don't go to college, people look at you like, that's kind of weird. What are you going to do? Whereas the rest of the world basically looks at it and says, yeah, there's people that are going to go in two different trajectories, and both of them are fine. So the question is that when you're out there, what kind of skills do you have to apply? Do you already know how to run a business? Probably not, right? But you probably know a little bit about your finances, whether you're making good decisions or bad decisions, because you know how much money is in your bank and you know what you need to do in order to make that number go up, right? And so if you are, no matter which way you go, whether you go to the college prep and then you get 4 more years or 5 more years or 7 more years, whatever it is, to go and be a more academic prepared person to get out there, or you just sit right from high school. You say, I'm gonna take my GED. I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna do my own business because this is what I want to do. And the thing is, like, it doesn't matter what the spectrum is. Everybody needs this kind of education. And where I'm coming from,
because everybody's an entrepreneur, regardless of what they do. You know, not necessarily the traditional definition of entrepreneur, but you know, if you work in a job, you're still selling your skills, your own services to that job. And that's one of the big things that when I teach entrepreneurship, I open with that. Like, what, you know, if your first reaction is, I'm gonna go work for someone. Cool. Awesome. You're basically your own company when you go work for someone. It's just not formally structured that way. And B, I mean, having a backup plan is nice, right? Having the ability to, when you get frustrated working with that company or answering to the man, right? And you want to be the man for yourself, then you've got options. And that's such an important skill, I think even more so now than ever, because AI is just crushing jobs and careers, and I don't see it slowing down. And the ability to find markets to work in and create your own avenues and opportunities, that hustle, the ability to hustle, whether it's on the side or in the front, it's such a big skill. And I think every year that we move forward as a society and an economy, that skill just gets more and more important to have.
Well, what I love about the Hustle Academy in and of itself, and really what's behind this whole thing, is that when you think about a side hustle, the reason why you do a side hustle is it could be financially motivated, obviously, but it's also is because you're passionate about something. The one that comes to mind right now is like car detailing. There would be guys that I'd park your car in a parking garage, and as you're walking by, like, hey man, do you want your car details? Like, oh, I'm okay. But what they're doing is they've been there. They had their own parking spot. The people in the building know that hey, this guy can detail a car. Does a great job. Has his own vacuum. Has his own wax. Has all that stuff. And he's detailing cars right there in a garage. And you ask him, like, is this your business? Yeah, this is my business. This is what I do. And you don't detail cars unless you love it. Unless you love cars, you love, because that's just not something that people do. I don't care how anal you are. It's just, it's one of those things that you love the look on someone's face when they come out and go, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It smells good. It's like, it's so clean. Like I've never been able to get the Cheerios out of the seats, right?
Cheerios, absolutely.
You know, they're the worst. But that guy has a passion about making your vehicle look spectacular. And he loves it. Certainly there's the money aspect of it. But you know what he also likes? He also likes the look on your face when you come out and go, oh my gosh, thank you so much, right?
Yeah.
This is why I like the side hustle mentality. The reason why you do what you do is because you're good at it. you have a passion for it. And so this is where I think if you can grab a young professional, an emerging leader, specifically in high school, and this could be inner city and suburban. It doesn't matter where you're located, because everywhere you go, you still have this kind of issue, which is kids want to be self-sufficient. They want to spread their wings. And the question is, like, if they're going to do it, can we at least give them the tools to do it correctly, so they're making the right decisions, as opposed to making poor decisions and all of a sudden having bad credit and things that kind of haunt you for years after that, right? But what I love about the way that this is starting to play out is, as we start getting into communities, we always talk about the rising tide lifts all boats. This is not a black thing. It's not a white thing. It's not a red thing. It's not a yellow thing. It has nothing to do with skin color. It's everything to do with, we are going to go into communities. We are going to teach them how to run businesses. And because of that, everybody else is going to elevate. You're going to be seeing people, you're going to be seeing high school students talking to each other in business terms, which you would never see before, because business wasn't cool until business becomes, I have to do this for money. Now we're going to take it, we're going to spin it on its axis and say, no, the reason why all those people are successful is because they finally learned how to run a business. They finally learned the nuance of what makes that guy successful and that girl successful. And so what we're seeing here is that, specifically inside certain communities, joblessness rates are through the roof. And the attention that it's getting is something like I mean, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce should be all over this. I'm not sure why. Now, they have their programs, but anytime you want something to not work, you give it to the government. In this case, though, there are other programs, like, and you've been a part of them, that are actually doing real education to stand people up and say, you can do this. Here are the tools upon which you can stand. What I like about the way we're approaching this is that we're not going and teaching people personal finance, like how to write a check and how to write an email and just like all these different things that are very personal in nature. We like to say that it's not really financial literacy. Financial literacy is a dead term to me. The reason why is because if I'm teaching you financial literacy, I'm assuming that you're illiterate in your finances, and which I know you're not, because you're wearing a jacket, you're going to school, you have a car, you know finance. You just maybe been taught the wrong language of how to deal with these finances. And so and
not necessarily even formal teaching, right?
Sure,
just the environment, the community, the culture you grow up in.
Exactly.
That is all. It's so personal. It's so dependent upon your environment.
Well, and so you look at this and you say, well, how can we change communities? The way you change communities is you change the way we all speak about this stuff. So instead of talking about joblessness rates, talk about the number of businesses that have been started. Because then you don't need a job. In fact, you don't even go to a job. What people say is, like, when you start your own business, if you live your passion, you never go to work another day in your life, right? And so the point is that why go get a job when I can give you the tools? You got to execute, but I can at least give you the tools and access to resources to stand up your own company, and then you're off doing your own thing. Forget about going to work for somebody else. Have people work for you. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just people think there's a disconnect there. It's like, well, it's hard. If it was hard, small businesses wouldn't be the backbone of the American economy. Everybody's starting businesses. It's either out of desperation, they just have to do it, or it's out of I want to do it. It's like, I've always had this dream, I'm going to do it. But people are doing this on a daily basis. They're doing it with incomplete information, and they're learning on the job, which nothing wrong with that, but you have to go through some of those hard knocks. But wouldn't it be great if you didn't? Wouldn't it be great if someone could just tell you, hey, avoid this, avoid this, avoid this. Hey, you definitely want to do this. Oh, that person called, get on the phone and call them back, right? So you have like true mentorship to pull you through this process. That is what Hustle Academy is striving to do, is to get that true mentorship, so people look at you and go, hey, I like that idea. Let's see if we can put some wheels on that car and get this thing moving. And what it also does, which people are not going to understand until maybe 2, 3, 4 years out, I don't have to teach you personal finance now. And because going back to the low and middle income classes, a lot of times people don't want to take financial education classes because they talk about their personal finances. And a lot of kids, it's not just kids. Some people are just embarrassed.
It's
because you get in a
adults.
room.
It's a hard conversation. It can be very embarrassing.
It's very intimate. And so what we do is we say, well, wait a second. We can still teach people financial education, personal finance, but let's set the personal stuff over here. Let's teach them how to run a business. And as they start running that business, they're going to start gleaning the personal finance pieces out of that because they have to. The stuff you're doing for your business is going to be the same stuff you're doing for personal. And then all of a sudden you realize, oh my gosh, this is the same thing.
Yeah, and it's a lot less intimidating and embarrassing when you're talking about it in terms of something else, right? Like asking for a friend, right? It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to ask an embarrassing question if you're like, I'm asking for a friend. I'm learning for a different scenario. Oh, but this applies to my household too. Oh, no kidding. Boom. And then you have those micro light bulbs go on, and the next thing you know, the whole damn room's lit because it just starts popping.
And what's great, and so here's what I think is going to happen. As we start moving this thing forward, you're going to start seeing some young men and women creating real companies and saying, because what they do is, I see this at SCAD all the time. In fact, the other day, one of my students at SCAD, she had come up with this idea, and the name in the class, because it's a fake company, it's a fake financials, fake everything, right? But as we start moving through this, it's like, that's a really good idea. And she after 10 weeks decided, I'm going to start an LLC, and she's going to go ahead and do this. She's going to make like these really nice executive blazers, female executive blazers, and because she wants to do some fashion, but she also wants to do business. And she's like, I'm going to pursue this. So she did. She started her LLC. And here in Atlanta, and she is doing it. It's called Tally Couture, and she's going after it. I've had several students, through the SCAD process.
If they're younger than 30,
I know they're kids.
It's kid.
It's like wouldn't have caught me if they were rascally kids. But I've had them start like real businesses just by being in class and saying, I didn't know that I knew how to do this. It's like, it's just not that hard. What I keep telling people is like, look, business and personal, say you already know how to run a business because you've been doing it in your life for so long. But in business, for some reason, because people have the wall of me and the little certificates behind them, and it's like, look who I am, look at how great I am.
And the plaques that fall off the wall.
The plaques fall off the wall.
All the cool stuff.
They have a certain language. So basically, you talk about it in one way, but you go in business, all of a sudden people get really intimidated because it's a completely different language. But that's what we're going to teach you. If you understand that bridging language, this business stuff is not hard. The biggest thing you got to worry about is a bunch of people, like a bunch of sharks coming after your business because you're either their competitor, right? Or they want to buy you, right? Oh, darn. Don't buy me out.
What a terrible scenario to face.
But the whole thing of this is that if you really want to change the community, you got to stop chirping about joblessness and stop chirping about, well, there's no access, there's no this, there's the other. It's like, let's do something about it.
Let's give them access.
Let's get into the community and actually teach them the underpinnings of how to run a business. And then if you understand that stuff, you are now free to go and follow whatever you want to follow with the right educational underpinnings.
Yep.
And that's the goal.
That freedom comes with confidence, right? Because the way we're teaching them how to run a business, they're not going to be able to do everything involved, but they're going to be able to own that conversation and feel confident asking questions about things they don't know and don't understand. Whereas previous to exposure, they're so intimidated, they don't know what they don't know and they feel foolish. It's a very easy thing to feel foolish talking about stuff you don't know, right? And then you just choose not to talk about it. And so when we give them the power to talk about it, then they can start doing it.
Let's dive into that, because what you just said is very important. They choose not to talk about it because they're embarrassed.
And it's scary as hell.
It is. It's one of those things. It's the reason why people don't take accounting courses. They're like, I don't know. It's like, it's a new thing. It's like, I'm not really getting it. And so they take that one course and they run the other way, right?
Yep.
what they need to be doing is just turning back into it and going, this is hard, but my goodness, this is so important, because everything on this side of heaven, we got to have money, and you're going to get money from either working for somebody or working for yourself. You choose. Either way is fine, but at some point in your life, you're going to look up that ladder and go, I'm just as smart as that person. Why am I making them money when I can do it myself? Can you make that transition? 100% you can. Where are the tools to help you make that jump? That's where Hustle Academy jumps in.
This type of education.
This type of education.
Absolutely.
100%. And it doesn't mean, so I'm talking about the people that may not have enough resources to get there. Okay, we're going to figure that piece out. Don't you worry about that. But there's even the people that do have resources. There are players coming out of NFL contracts who do not know what the next step is. So it's like, okay, well, what do? They put their name on a restaurant? That's not a good investment, you know. It's like,
right.
Because again, we go back to two different places when we're coming all the way back to the athletes. There's two marquee moments in an athlete's life that they fear. Number one is the day that they had to hang up the cleats, hang up the sneakers, what have you. The day that they had to stop playing, whether that's a personal choice for them or God decides that an injury occurs and you're done. It's not going to work the same way. That's number one. Number two, and I know there's going to be athletes that look at this and they're going to disagree with this, but this is 100% accurate. They fear becoming irrelevant. They have been told their entire lives that they are amazing football player, amazing volleyball player, amazing track athlete. I mean, amazing. They have risen through the miasma to get to a point in their life where they're the best college athlete. They're getting NIL money. Everybody looks at them. And all of a sudden, there's a day that it all gets taken away. And the question is, did you spend your time wisely in building that legacy so that you have something to jump and expand on? Or did you spend that time squandering those resources and basically your personal capital, so that by the time you're done with your playing career and you're trying to move to the next level, you don't have anything upon which you can stand other than your competitive spirit, right? Yeah. But then that comes with a confidence.
Then how do you put that to use, right? You've got that competitive spirit. You're not losing that, like you just said. You've still got that. What the heck do I do with it to stay relevant and stay able to financially support me and whatever other humans I choose to financially support, right? Yeah. That innate skill is not going anywhere, whether you got cleats on or dress shoes on or flip-flops. That ain't going anywhere. How do you apply it, right? And this type of education gives them a vehicle to put that skill in and just go kill it in a different arena.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So right now what we're trying to do is we're trying to go after a major bank, a major sports brand, right? And again, going back to the idea that we need to make it sexy first with the business of you, and then it kind of matriculates down into matriculate is up or down. Let's say it cascades down into the collegiate ranks, because you know, those words.
We need to start a list of words that we can't say, and then the replacement words.
I think matriculation is when it goes up, but people use it to go down. It's like the word commencement. It's like, wait, did it start or did we end? But it cascades down into the collegiate ranks, because what they're going to do is they're going to say, hey, the professionals are using some kind of, like, what is this financial tool that they're using? I want that for my school. And so what they say is like, okay, the Ohio State University, UCLA, Boilermakers, hey,
Purdue,
bring that over to Florida. Yeah, right. Bring that over to our campus, because our athletes, and I'm not talking about the football athletes, the ones, you know, the big money generator. I'm talking about our basketball athletes, our volleyball, our swimmers, all of the athletes out there who have plied their trade for so long and gotten so good at something that now they don't really have the skill to go to the next level in a completely different competitive arena. So we come in, we start doing that. And the question is, now that you're at the college campuses, you're doing the NIL, you're helping moms and dads with that NIL kids, try to figure that stuff out. The next level is, well, okay, then that means you're getting, now the high schools are saying, well, if the Ohio State University and Purdue and all these people, if they're doing that up in the NCAA ranks, then I want to learn that in high school, so that I'm prepared when I get up there. Because if I go here and I already know this, then when I go to the pros, I already know it. I'll spend the years building on this stuff, right? So that's how we're getting down into the communities. So the question is that when we're in the communities, we are the catalyst for another adventure, if you will. But while you're being awesome in your athleticism or in your science, in your math, whatever it is that you're doing, you're also building the skills to be able to do this on your own so that you don't have to rely on someone else to give you money.
Yeah, reliance on other people is just one of the scariest things, right? Sometimes it feels good, right? It feels very comforting. Oh, I need you, and I get it. But I mean, the ultimate freedom is when you don't have to rely on anybody.
Agreed.
And that is so powerful in the financial lane, because I mean, your wealth is a tool, and you have, the stronger your tool is, the better you can build, however you want to build.
So Sean, we're going to wrap this up, but before we do that, if there are people out there that want to communicate with you, not just about a Hustle Academy, but also some of the key expertise that you have, want to hire you on as a consultant, what have you, how do they get in contact with you?
Are you going to put stuff in the notes?
We'll put them in the show notes, sure.
Yeah, my email is the best way for them to reach out to me. Okay. bizedcrev@gmail.com. BUSEDCREV@gmail.com.
Was it on that plaque that fell off the wall?
It was not. It's on the floor now. We're gonna pick it up off the floor and put it in the notes.
Yeah, so is your podcast career now, buddy.
Yeah, seriously, one and done, baby.
Hey, listen. This has been a really. We could go for another 4 hours because I
feel like we just started. Yeah.
But I'm really, really excited to have you with the Legacy Forge. I'm so glad to have met you through Rebecca in the color accounting Wealthbox world, and I think that you and I are just starting, brother. So thank you for jumping on board with us.
Heck yeah.
And hopefully when we're changing lives, 18 months from now, we can look back at this podcast and go, hey, that was the start of it all, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pumped. This is a good thing. I appreciate being on this,